Here we have two carburetors, the SUHD type that go on the Jaguar XK engine, 3.4 liters, from 1957. These ones, they came like that. You can see they're already half taken apart. Someone butchered a lot of parts from them, but yeah, let's see if you can get them running again. So I've got this rebuild kit here from S&G Barrett. There's the number if you want to see that. It comes with instructions, important, please read them. Starts off with routine servicing and dismantling. Now the dismantling is pretty much already done because most of the bits are missing and everything is loose. So I think we're starting with a reassembly, which starts with a throttle spindle. Throttle spindle is at the other side of this one, so let's turn it around. This guy here, you can see it's pretty dirty in there. So first thing is take all these things up. This is the linkage to the other carburetor, and you see it has a little bit of flex in it, so if they're not quite aligned, that takes care of it. But we don't need that right now, it's in the way, so let's carefully get it off without scratching it too much. Same thing for this one. If you're not filming this, definitely take a photo of how it went on, so you don't put it in backwards. Now the kit comes with a lot of parts, including a new spindle. But this one here has this throttle stop, which should be a grub screw. I don't know if you can see that. It has been soldered up, and the same on the other side there. So honestly, I don't want to take that apart. If I get it wrong and mess it up, this little part alone is 20 or 30 pounds. There's no play in the spindle, so I think I'm just going to reuse that. I'll just take this one out, change that. So let's see how that goes. Always try to find the biggest screwdriver that actually fits. Okay, I'll do it. And one there. So then you can just grab it and wriggle it out. At least you should be able to. There we go. It's just stuck with all the dirt that's on there. Yeah. So I suppose we could clean it. But since they send a new one in the kit, there it is. We might as well use that one. So, and we should be able to take the spindle out now. And if you, this one is actually pretty good. If you put your fingernails over there, you can't feel any, well, there are a few scratches there, but nothing majorly worn. Whereas the other one, which we're going to come to later, has a definite groove here in the end. Right, so let me clean this up, open this, and assemble it back together. What they have supplied as well in this kit is a new seal kit for the spindle because of this new ethanol fuel. So it's this tiny little washer, rubber washer, that we will put on the shaft first. It didn't have anything on there, so this is just to prevent the air leak and air leak from there. Let's see how we get on putting that on. So let's get that seated right at the end there. There we go. Push that through here. And again, should there be any dirt in there, take it off now, don't just push it into the next hole. There we go. So now we have to see, because obviously this washer here, or this rubber seal obviously pushes the rod over this way slightly further. Yeah, but I think the main issue will be, you can see how much, can you see? These two holes are not in the center anymore. They should be, yeah, 5mm more towards the right. So the new plate won't fit into the middle. So now I've put it back without the rubber seal there, and you can see it's much better centered. So there are two sides to it. The back side is just a hole, and the front side has a little flange in it, or whatever you call that. So that needs to be the front. Equally, this thing, I don't know if you can see that, that is not straight. It is ever so slightly chamfered this way. And when it closes like that, obviously the chamfer needs to match this. So if you put it the wrong way around, chamfer is this way, it doesn't make any sense. So it has to go in that way. Put it in, wriggle it in. There may obviously still be a little bit of dirt in between. There we go. And then it is a case of wriggling it around until it properly fits. And I don't know if you can see, but right there it doesn't fit, and at the back we have also a big gap. So you can see the holes don't line up either. Let's see if you can get that in a little better. Move this where it belongs, like that. There we go, that is a pretty good seal, completely closed off. It looks like a black shadow there, but it is actually closed. So yeah, that's where it needs to go. They supplied new screws as well, and can you see? There's a slit in the end. So once they're through, you can actually force them open a little bit to prevent them from ever coming loose. Let's put them in. Yep, happy with that. Closes nicely. It's just a case of going in there with a really tiny screwdriver and bending that ever so slightly open without breaking them off. Just like that. Oh, it's difficult to get on the camera. So I guess the next piece is to take this damper off. Normally there should be oil in there. This one is bone dry. Then take these screws up. As I said, this all came in bits and pieces, so they're already all loose. Missing a few washers. Carefully take that off. This spring and the actual pot. So I don't know if you can see, but there's a lot of grime here in between. Yeah, and further down. So be careful that you're not scratching anything, but you see, you don't want that kind of stuff in your needle, in your valve. So let me clean all that up and come back. So now onto the needle. Sits in there with a little screw right there, so you can take it out. That was easy. Take it out carefully. Still sits completely stuck. Oh dear. You don't want to force it, you don't want to bend this or scratch it or anything like that. They do say in the manual, if it's stuck, gently tap it in before taking it out without bending it. So let's see if we can do that. So I found some scrap pieces of wood and things. Never tap metal on metal on the needle. Let them leave marks or bend it. So I'm trying this method, a rubber mallet, piece of wood, and let's see. Gentle, don't tap too hard at all. But this one is not coming out. Right, I put the screw back in. I mean, yes, I would like to check the needle if it's the right one, but if I can't, I'm not going to break anything because that doesn't help either. So, just clean the needle up. Make sure there's no gunk on there. Make sure there's no scratches. So now onto this drop test that you probably have seen on other videos. It's basically a test to see how airtight these two pieces fit together. And I think I'm going to have a problem with mine because if you listen to this one, see how nice and slowly it goes in? Even though I haven't taped off these holes, so you got to do that still. It's a very tight nice fit, whereas this one, yeah. So now let's do the proper test. So you're supposed to tape off these air holes here. Nothing fancy, just taped off so the air doesn't just go straight through there. Make sure it's properly pushed in. So the way you do a drop test, upside down, you hold your fingers on the side so that when it comes out, you catch this on that lip, because the last thing you want is this thing hitting the floor. So you start off at the top with both of them, fingers next to it, let them go all at once, and they should be at the bottom in about 4 to 5 seconds, and they should be equal. That's the most important bit. So let's start it. I don't know if you can see that. There we go. Ready, steady, go. Yeah, you can clear. So what are my options? If you know, please let me know in the comments below. Let's do the proper test again, and go. I'd say it is slightly better. Oh wait. And go. That's not too bad. Maybe they just got mixed up earlier. I keep an eye on, if I find another complete set, I might get one, but for now I leave them in this position. So it's always helpful to refer to the manual, because I thought there was some kind of seal here where the pot goes on, but according to the manual there isn't. So in a way that's good, because I'm not missing anything. Let's put it back together, which basically means the spring first. I'm going to do that later because I don't have at the moment the exact reference manual. So basically what you need to do is look at your carburetor type, which is this little tab here. And I've bought a book, which I'm going to show you in the next video once it arrives. Look up what the specifications of that specific carburetor are, what spring you need, and what compression it needs. So then you can measure that, and I'll show you how to do that in another video once I have it. You can work out if that spring is still any good or if it needs replacing. Actually, I'm not going to put that in right now because we're going to take the bottom bits apart and that might interfere with the needle. See how this got butchered? All the innards are missing. So let's see what we have. Not a lot, as it seems. But that's why I bought this rebuild kit. All the parts should hopefully be there. Let's read up again. So the manual wants us to actually work on the piston lift pin, which is this device up here. And in real life it looks like that. This thing. So if you push that, I suppose it pushes against the piston. So once that is fully down, you push this will push against here and basically lift this up. That's why it's called piston lift pin. Now there should be number 25. There should be the actual pin spring, which is clearly still in there because you see it comes in and out. Washer, circlip. So I can see I have definitely a circlip up there. I have a washer underneath, and I presume the other washer is down in there. You can't really see that. But I'm not going to take it apart because I don't have any washers at the moment. Anyway, so just for my own memory, so I will circle the bit that I'm missing, 25C, one of these washers. So I'll go online. Oops, that's the wrong part. No, I want this washer. I'll check if I can get one of these. If I need one, I'll look into it later. So you don't forget, circle what you're missing. Examine the float, needle and seating for damage or wear. So we got to look in here. And this all came like that with these washers. Right. Okay. Right. Same as usual. Let me clean it up and come back. So whoever took that apart did a pretty good job of cleaning it, because there was hardly any gunk in there. Now, I don't know how you examine this for wear. See that little, so that the float pushes against here, and that thing that goes up and down at the back, that's the valve that then closes. Doesn't seem to have a lot of wear, seems to be working fine. But since I've got one in the rebuild kit, we might as well use them. So let's make some space. To get this out, you need to take this pin out first. Now the pin only comes out one way because it's thicker in the other. And it seems to me that this side is thicker. Let me try that. Yep, that's the way. Wonderful. He says. Let's get this out of the way before we break it. Is it really? It's coming out good. So then this little guy here, and remember which way it came. So this tip goes into the top, and that guy. Now we need to get this out as well. Since I've got a new one, it doesn't really matter if I scratch or damage the sides a little bit. Let's see if we can get that out. That was tight, but it came out. So obviously we need to come up with another way of putting the new one in, because I don't want to mess it up like I did with the old one. Right, so there it is, the new one. Put that in there. Start it off by hand. Found a little, and just gently tighten it. There we go. This new one with a tip in first. There we go. Get rid of the old stuff. Put this back together. We seem to have even a new pin here. Seems to be not brass. But hey, okay, let's use it. So push this through gently, carefully. There we go. And a bit further, I just like to take the side of my pliers, push it, because you can see there's a serrated edge, and there's just grips onto it. This is free going. The valve in there goes up and down nicely, so I guess that's all good. Let's put the old parts to the side, and now we need to adjust the height of this. To do that, you use an 11mm shaft, XK drill, and I probably ought to clean that first. And insert it across here, and then in the up position it should touch it. Now I don't have an 11mm drill, but I have a 10mm one. So my thinking is there should be a 1mm gap between, let me see if you can see that, between this part and the shaft. And to me, if I look this way, that looks like 1mm. That's close enough to me. So that one is good to go. Let's see what the manual says. Right, Next part is we should check this for damage and leakage. Certainly not damaged, not bent. I've leak tested that before, and the way you do that, you just put it in hot water and see if there are any bubbles coming up. But it seems to be all good, so we can assemble it. That goes in there. The manual says examine the gasket for reuse. Well, there was no gasket, so we can't reuse that. Let me get the new one. So here's the new one. For some reason there's only one new one, and I guess, because that came separately, I guess I forgot to order two. So let's get that on there and then mark in my drawing that I need to get another one. Make sure that sits properly all the way around. There we go. Put that on. And I was wondering what this hole is there, but it seems to be a blind hole because it is closed up on the inside. And that's it from here. So then refit these. You can see this one is a funny little washer, and since we have a new one for that, we will use it. And the other is just a metal washer. That should be fine. Put that on carefully. Put it all back together. And obviously I'm not going to tighten it down 100% yet because I'm not sure which way around that goes. So I just noticed the old order of assembly was actually wrong according to the manual, because in here we should have, I don't know if you can see that, 37, which is a specification tag on the top, then a washer, then 39 overflow pipe, and then the serrated washer. So the specification tag on the top, then this guy, and I'm not going to fit the overflow pipe now because it'll just be in the way, but it basically goes in between here, and then screw it all in. 38. So I suppose the way it works, because that is a serrated washer, petrol will flow between the gaps out into the overflow pipe if for whatever reason this thing should completely flood. Good, so that's that bit done. Let's put it aside and look what's next. So the next part is the bungee bolt that goes in there for the fuel supply. Now, first thing in there is this little filter with a spring. So that goes in like that. And then there should be two washers, 47, and a bungee bolt, 48. So now the question is just, which washers are they? Are they these fiber washers? Since we have two of them. So I suppose one here and one on the other side of the pipe that goes in there. So let's see if this fits. Should go in like that. There we go. Wonderful. So let's just assemble it like that until we have the pipe that goes in there. Good. So according to the manual, we are refitting this part, but since I never took it out, and since I don't have a spare one, there's nothing to refit other than check that it is clean, and there are a few bits in there, so let me get them out. They said when you took it apart you should have taken marks. No, unfortunately it was already taken apart and there was nothing from the original part left, so there are no marks. So this thing goes into here. Sorry, that's this bit here, and I presume it goes like that to clear the holes. There's a spring that goes in there, which goes into the bottom. And actually, let me see. So that presses on here, you can see that, into the, so clearing the bolts. And this part goes on top of it. So that's the fiddly bit to get it so it clears the hose. Let's try that. Let me see, is this offset? No, it clears the hose like that. So for some reason, if I hold it from the other side, it keeps wobbling. Let's see if that works. I'll put that. Sorry, got a shock there. Put that in, and this on top, and then press it together. Is it still clearing the hose? That's, no, obviously not. How about like that? Yay, that worked, good. Wonderful. Now, careful, that is in. I've said there needs to be washers. So let me get some washers first before I assemble this, because I have to do it again. Right, I've got it together with the washers in these bolts there. You can see how this works. If you, the set screw there will push the thing down. So that now goes into here, the right way around preferably, which is this way. And now everything needs to be tightened down carefully. Right, let's see how that now looks. So if I, oh yeah, you can see that working fine. Right, so just double check the manual, nothing forgotten. See the only, so there are no seals in between, so that's all good. The only thing that I don't have, which confuses me, is this part here on the side. 33, that's a cam shoe rod assembly. Looking at it, all it does is you have the set screw up here, and it pushes on that lever here that we just saw. Now, I don't know where that should fit on this carburetor, but I have a set screw here, does the same job. And it doesn't look like anything is missing. So that may be for another type there in the instructions. Good, let's put that back together very carefully. See if that fits. Now the piston has a groove in. That needs to go into the groove here. So don't even try putting it in the wrong way around. And don't bend the needle. There we go. That fitted nicely. And you can't get this the wrong way around because they won't line up. So there we go. Put the 3 balls in here. That's so good. So the only other thing I noticed that we have a volume screw kit, or volume screw rather, not the kit. Screw, spring, and 2 washers, C and D from number 15. Well, washer and gland. Now, I have the screw and the washer, but no glands and washers. So I've circled them, I need to get them. But while I don't have them, in the meantime, I just screw it there in here to make sure it doesn't get lost. And then move on to the next thing. And the next thing is to put the damper back on. This is this part here. There should be a washer on it, and well, at first I thought I didn't have one, but if you look closely, there is one. It is pretty much disintegrating. So I'm going to take that out completely, and I have a spare one in the kit. Let's just, yeah, get rid of this, because that that won't sear for long. Looks like there's almost 2 on there. Or did it just split? I don't know. No, it's just 1. Anyway, put a new one on. Came in the kit. And while we're there, we might as well clean it. Right, new washer on. So I haven't put any oil yet in the damper. That's too early. I think we still need to come back quite a few times. So let's see, what do we have left? We have the spindle left, which we didn't use. We have the bushings of the spindle. Again, we didn't use those. We have the seals for the side of the spindle, which I explained earlier that was getting the distance wrong. These 2 spacers, whatever they're called, they would go on the spindle as well to hold these washers in. So apart from that, just these 2 metal washers and this tiny rubber washer is what's left. If you know where that goes, let me know in the comments and I will fit it. And then we just got to do the whole thing again on the other one, which hopefully will go a lot faster. Right, now onto the second one. That's the front one. It's pretty much the same thing with 2 exceptions. It has a vacuum takeoff, which the other one has just a blank plate there. So all I've done there is already put the new seal in. You can see it there, just sticking out. So nothing complicated there at all. And the other bit, it has this choke mini carburetor, which goes on the bottom like so, from here to there, and then this device sits here, probably like that. Now, as you can probably see from this one, this one's headed. That came with the carburetor. Someone tried to weld it, didn't work out. So I got another one from the Jaguar Spares Day. That looks like this. I have no idea what's missing and what's there, so we shall have a look into that. But like with the other one, let's start at the beginning, which is the spindle. Now I've already taken the butterfly off, and you can see with this one, actually, let me show you. This one doesn't have any play, but if you take it out and you run your fingernail, see, it's definitely worn a bit there. And since we have a new spindle, we might as well use it. That sits in there, so this is just for me to center the spindle. So I know roughly where to cut it. One would be, again, maybe I'll make it 2 millimeters longer. I can always cut it. One would be there, and the other one, make it 3 millimeters longer to have enough space there for the rubber piece. Tiny bevel ground in, no sharp edges at all, so nicely deburred. Let's put that in, see how it's going. That's roughly center. That's roughly center. I think we got it in the wrong way around. Let's try again. Yep, a bit longer on both sides, but that's fine. I mean, worst case, I'll put this part away now. The connecting piece between the two, we can shorten that if this is a little bit too long, but I'd rather have some space to play with than getting it wrong. So let me take this off, put it on there, so we don't lose it and we know which way around. Right, before I put this thing on, let me put these rubber seals on. Then this piece went on. Why does it not want to fit? There we go. Like that, more or less. that needs to be readjusted later. Anyway, let's take the other rubber, the lip towards the body of the carburetor. The new one compared to the old one. Oh yeah, can you see the difference? The old one, the tip is completely worn out. It's a good thing we changed those. But we can proceed with the starter carburetor. So I've got a banjo bolt here, a washer, this piece, and it goes through like that. Then the big washer, then the carb, and I'm not going to take that apart right now. I'll leave that loose for now so we can adjust where it goes. So we need to find the rest of the things. So I've got this book here, Carburetor Tuning Tips and Techniques, SU carburetors, and in there, auxiliary enrichment, we have what this device is. And we can see here, this is number 8 is the solenoid, which is this thing. Then we have a plunger iron core and a valve at the bottom, ball jointed valve. It doesn't mention that washer type thing that's above it, but it came with it, so I'm going to leave it. And then there's a conical spring, which is this thing. If you put that on. So I believe this goes together like that. That little spring. So normally it's closed, it pushes down on here. So I don't know if that is gonna seal. And then when it's activated, it pulls it up. And we have this thing. I think maybe going wrong this way rather. Let's hook that up. There we go. And I think it's just a screw that pushes down. And obviously that washer there is no good. But yeah, that seems, you know, tighten it. No, it's nice and tight. I'm still not sure if this should be exposed like that. But 5 adjusting stop knot, which is that thing. Yeah, it's out in the elements, it seems. Once I have the banjo bolt, this thing sits probably like that. Yeah. So, just to show you how it all goes together, that's the inlet manifold. Obviously that still needs a bit of work. That's the water passage. There will be the thermostat in here. That is up here, this little device. That is actually the electronic switch that will activate the solenoid on here. So if it's cold, it activates it. It's basically your choke. And then when it gets warm, that switch will tell the choke to shut off. And then, yeah, the choke is off. So this one here goes to the front. That one goes to the back. Then we have this connecting piece that we took off right at the beginning in between here. And you see we may have to, no, it'll be fine. We don't have to cut anything. So now they're better aligned. So that goes, sorry, that goes on there. Then, let me put this one. This device, as I said, goes here. So that goes there. If you can see, this pipe goes in here. That is basically a, well, just a pipe that screws in there. So that takes the enriched fuel mixture out to the bottom, and then from here, let me find the pieces. So these pieces, they screw into the inlet manifold down here. Oh dear, this one is a bit stuck. This one goes on here. like so. There we go. Everything fits. So there we go. So the normal fuel comes via these carburetors into the inlet manifold, straight through into the pistons, and the choke delivers its extra fuel through these pipes, going into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 separate places into the inlet manifold and deliver additional fuel. Now we just need to all hook it up and put it onto the engine. That's it for this episode. Next episode we look at the engine itself.